Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Mindy here today and I'm going to be showing you how I created this really cute interactive scalloped box card pop-up. So let's get started. I'm going to start off by stamping all of my images. So I'm using a stamp set from Pretty Pink Posh. This is Reindeer Friends. It has a lot of cute images on here and also sentiments to go with. So I'm loading all of these up in my Misty tool and I'm going to be stamping this on Neenah Solar White Cardstock 80 pound. That is my personal preference for coloring with Copic markers. So I am going to stamp them in a Copic friendly ink. This happens to be Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink, and I also tend to use the My Favorite Things black ink as well, which is Copic friendly. Once I have all the images stamped out, I'm going to start coloring with my Copic markers. I'm going to be using E35, E33, E31, and E30. So I start with my darkest color, and that is the E35, and I lay in the shadow areas, which on this particular deer is the back of the head, the back of the top side of the body there, and then the furthest back part of the legs. And then I blend out with an E33, an E31, and the E30. And I do color my images twice. That is just my habit. When I do have enough room to blend, I like to go over them twice, especially with that E31 and E30. To me, those are always colors that are really tricky to blend with an E33. So by going over it twice, I find that I have a smoother transition between the colors. So these are really quick and simple to color up. I am only providing 3 images that I colored up in this video. The rest I did off camera just to save a little bit of time. So for the nose, I came in with an R24 and a little bit of R39. The hooves, I did an N6 and an N4, just real small spots of a shadow since it was such a smaller area. So on to the second little deer here that's carrying the present. I'm laying in those shadow areas again, so the top of the head. I did a little bit on the underside of the arm, and then under the arm where the present would be casting a shadow, and a little bit into the face. I didn't want to go too far into the face with that shadow. I still wanted to have a highlight area, but I did want to show that the present would cast a shadow onto the deer. And I just continue blending out with all of those colors. I use the same color combination throughout all of the deer. And a little bit more, like I said, going over them twice just to get that smooth blend. And on the antlers of some of these deer, I just went in, I think it was the E31 or maybe it was the E33. I did no shading in the ears or the antlers. I just laid the color in. Now for the present, I'm coming in with the R24 and then just a little bit of the R39, and I added some shadow right under the bow and the bottom of the present and just some little lines to show some shadow areas in the bow. And then also with the present, adding little bits of the shadow areas with some greens, and then the little bit in the hooves. So one more deer here to color up and adding in those shadow areas in the back side. As far as putting in the shadow areas, I like to kind of go with how they are facing. So this particular deer is facing to the right, so that's where I'm going to put my light source and have everything that's on the other side with a little bit of a shadow area. So once again, adding in my shadow areas with that E35 and blending out between the two, or between the rest of the colors. Now, I didn't actually mean to color the first 2 noses red. I was going to have just one red nose reindeer, and the reds were there, and that's what I went with. So I have a lot of Rudolphs on this card, but it's still really cute. I'll have all of the supplies that I used in the video listed down below in the video description and on my blog as well, so you can always reference that. These images, like I said, come from Pretty Pink Posh, so be sure to head on over and pick this super adorable set up. Once all of my images are colored in, I will cut them out with the coordinating die and set them off on the side. Now I'm going to work on the actual box. So this is the Scallop box card pop-up. I'm taking the main die and cutting it from chili pepper cardstock, and I need 2 of these to form the box. You can get this out of 1 sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So I'm going to set that off on the side. That is going to be ready. And then I need to cut some decorative panels for my box. So there's the skinny one here. I like to turn my die the way that my box is with the scallop on top. That is the decorative elements. So I'm going to use some of this striped pattern paper. This is from the Jolly paper pack from Pink and Maine. I'm going to cut 2 of the smaller squares and 1 of the longer ones. I'm also using this blue pattern paper from Really Rainbow paper pack from Lawn Fawn. And I'm also taking Pixie Dust glitter cardstock. I'm cutting, these are the inserts for the inside of the box. So I cut 2 of those from the Pixie Dust, and then I'm also cutting a hill from that Pixie Dust as well. That's for my background. I trimmed that down and then also ran that through with that long skinny panel die. Now I'm just going through and doing all of my score lines. This comes on the cardstock when you run that through the machine. So I'm just folding these over, creasing them down really well with a bone folder. I wait to do the top. You want to leave one of these bigger panels not folded because that is going to be the back of your box. So I like to leave that first, work from there, folding the rest of the panels out. And then I'm going to line up these thin strips on the side. I'm going to put some double-sided tape on one of them. Remove that, and I'm going to butt that up right next to my other panel. This is how we're connecting our box. Then just fold that over, make sure my creases are really good, and then I can apply some tape on that other panel but not attach it yet. I'm just getting that ready. So you'll have 3 of those panels folded out and 1 is not folded at all. That'll be the back one we're going to decorate. I like to decorate it first so that I know what it's for. I don't accidentally fold it over. So I'm attaching this polka dot panel and then my little hill from the glitter cardstock. I'm also going to take the smaller squares and the thinner one, and this is what's going to show on the outside of the box when those flaps are folded over. So you can decorate these any way you want. I decided to just leave them blank. I gave the reindeer all the attention, the star of the show. And then you can see how this is shaping up where those flaps are folded over. Now to do the inserts. These also have scored lines on them when you run them through the die cut machine. So I'm just folding those over. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach some double-sided tape to these as well. I found that this has really worked well, the double-sided tape, the score tape, as far as holding to that glittered cardstock since it is textured. And then I just take my bone folder and I'm really burnishing it in. I want to make sure this is a really good stick so it doesn't come out. To attach them to the inside of the box, this is what I have found is the easiest. So I remove one of those backing strips to the double-sided tape. I'm taking that tab and I'm going to just line that up in the one panel of the box, and I'm making sure that the top is level with my back panel. Then I can push that down, and you want to make sure you're leaving enough room. You want to have room to add items if you want to decorate it more in the inside of the pop-up box. So just watch how you're spacing them out, or don't push down hard so you have some room to adjust it if you want to. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm leaving a gap, putting that tab down, lining it up with my first one, and you can see I'm kind of playing with this. What we're going to do is fold this over, and that is going to attach our panels. So I'll go ahead and remove the backing to the other strips, and even on that side tab that's going to connect our box, you fold this over, attach those, and it's going to line up everything perfectly. Everything will be attached in the inside, our box is formed, and then just kind of work it, go back and forth with the box, make sure everything is lined up. Now, my front wasn't lined up very well, but that was operator error. I wasn't paying attention, but the box still sets up really well. It didn't cause any problems. I noticed it. Now I'm going to come in and start decorating. So I'm adding the presents in the background and this cute little deer that's sitting next to it. And I'm just adding some adhesive to the back of those to attach. And that is looking so adorable. I love how this all turned out. To attach the rest of my elements, I am using some acetate. So this is just clear cardstock. I'm cutting into some really thin strips. I think this is only maybe 1/4 of an inch. And I cut 5 of them because I have 5 deer. You don't necessarily have to use this on all of them. I just found it worked really well because then I could do what I want with my reindeer, and I'll show you in just a minute. So at the top of each piece of acetate, I put that double-sided tape and adding my deer to each one of those. And I know that acetate's a little hard to see on screen, but that's actually kind of the point. And you'll see in the finished product here what I mean by that. Now to put them in the box or in those inserts, I added that strip of double-sided tape and start adding the deer and attaching them to these inserts. So I like to work from the back and then come forward. So that way I make sure I can see all of my deer. That first one was a little long, so I just came in and trimmed it down with the scissors. This next one, since he looked like he was jumping or flying, this is why I used the acetate, is because that way you can't see how he's attached. It just looks like he's jumping through the air, which I thought was super adorable. The big thing you want to watch for when doing that is don't go higher than the top of your box. Otherwise, it's not going to fit in an A2 size envelope. You can go to the right or to the left a little more, but you don't want to go higher than your box, than the top of that back panel. So I just added those all in. They look adorable. They look like they're having a little Christmas party. And for a sentiment, I used the Holiday Greetings stamp set from Pretty Pink Posh. This has a lot of great sentiments on here in a few different font styles, so you can mix and match along with a couple different elements. I just used the Merry Christmas that I stamped on white cardstock and just trimmed it down. I don't have any specific measurements. I just trimmed it as close to the words as possible. And then adding that score tape again, and I'm just going to add this right to the front panel of my box. So that'll be one of the first things that the recipient sees when they open it, is it'll just say Merry Christmas. And just kind of working that box a little bit, making sure that all of that is creased well. Now, I just wanted to show you here that these do fit in the A2 size envelope, so you can fold your flaps up and put it in your envelope that way, or I like to keep the flaps folded down, and that still works. That way, it just looks so cute when they open it up and they see all these reindeer in there, and they can just pull it out and it pops up into a box. So that worked out really well. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I would really appreciate a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so and would like to see more videos from me. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.